welcome visionaries of all shapes and stripes, members of the Vision Train, members of Visionary Arts and Culture in Toronto, Toronto Visionary Arts and Culture. I'm Rani Karmic, also known as the Rani Ma or Rani G. And here today I have two amazing visionaries with me. The first, I want to introduce Mr. Rahul Bader, who's the founder and curator of Toronto Visionary Arts and Culture. This is his sixth visionary visionary exhibit that he has curated. It is now a global virtual bit that we can all share online, nurturing that Canadian talent, but also globally as well. So Rahul, I'd love to hear more about what you do and about Toronto Visionary Arts and Culture.
Hi, everybody. Hi from the Vision Train, and hi, everybody from all over the world just tuning in right now. I'm really excited to share our first global and virtual exhibit. This has been created with the intention of finding a way to unite all of our art and visions at this critical time in history. We've called it the Great Conjunction very intentionally, as so many people are driven apart. I think the visionaries have always brought things back home to an honoring of the planet, to an honoring of divinity, and to honor our sacred journeys as both artists and people. And I'm just so grateful that we have over 100 artists this year, and some very, very special honorary guests. Founder of Vision Train, Amanda Sage, some beautiful Canadian honorary guests like Chris Dyer and Autumn Sky and Simon Haydock. And we also have one special elder in the room, and someone that since my journey into visionary art, really, as I identified it in 2015, I met a really beautiful soul who this retrospective will be the feature of. Her name is Eileen Rosie Rose. And I met her at the Omega Visionary Art Intensive with Alex Gray and Allison Gray in 2015. And one thing that struck me right away about Rosie, our guest, was just how much youth and heart and connection she brought everyone immediately. It's like she showered you with love like it was Christmas Day and you just met her. And so this is something special that is within Rosie that I think we all feel a connection with. Before the Vision Train and before a lot of things, she was really doing her best to document and see people through a journey, their personal journeys, talk to them when they had their heartbreaks, be with them for those big moments, and always share her heart. So I thank you. I'm not going to get emotional just yet, but I will take this opportunity to send a warm welcome to our featured guest, our elder, and all of our friend, Eileen Rosie Rose.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much love. And I have a lot of, thank you. I hear you silent clapping. I have a lot of pictures that I pulled together from my computer. My old one, you'd be happy that my old computer's kind of died right now. So I would have been here for 3 hours otherwise. So I don't know, would you like me to get started, or Rani, do you want to say anything?
I think that was such a beautiful introduction, and I just echo everything that Rahul said. I would love to see the work that you brought for us today to talk about.
Sounds good. So I'm going to share my screen then right now. Can you all see this young dame over there? Okay. So I was a math major in college, and I could have easily been a music major. Those were my two greatest loves. I was always good in art in school, but I was better in music and math, it seemed. Those are the things that I was excelling in. But what happened is hippie days came, and I was in the midst of taking like calculus and algebra. I decided to take some art classes and fell just in love with the art department. You know, they were so full of life. There were these beautiful hippies and artists, and I just knew that these were my people. These were my people. And you know, much to the dismay of my family at the time, not later on, I said, I'm switching to be an art major, and loved it. I concentrated mostly in wood sculpture and, you know, a lot of 3D stuff like clay. And I was always like a tomboy. I was strong and I was banging wood, but I ended up later on, you know, falling in love with other mediums. So I had a great teaching career for over 33 years and teaching all different age kids. I don't know if you could see by the picture, there's like Van Gogh. We studied all artists, and we did power shields and, you know, animal totem masks. It was a great, great ride. And I still have people like in their 50s. They see me in the neighborhood and they say, Miss Rose, and they want to come over and get a hug. And it was just a great gig. It was hard to leave. But while I was doing that in the summer, I never worked in the summer. I was always a catalyst for other people's art. In the summer, I used to take time for myself. So I was at Omega, and I was taking a conflict resolution class because that was really great with junior high school kids. And I saw these luminous paintings on a wall, and luminous drawings, I should say. And that was the class I signed up for the following year. And you can see some of the size of the mandalas we made there. My little hippie shirt. I still have that shirt. I tread lightly on the planet. So this is Judith Cornell. She was my mentor. She was my first great mentor. And she wrote the book Mandala. And I took so many classes with her that I became her co-teacher. And actually, this is something maybe I'll get into later if anybody's interested, but I was also with Judith Cornell when she passed at her deathbed. So not only did she teach me, you know, and did I learn to meditate and open up my third eye, but she also taught me about a conscious passing and not to be afraid. And that was the end final great lesson. Now, while I was taking those classes, I run into these people. I had seen Alex Gray's artwork, and you know, I used to buy his paintings in all the new age stores, and then they were teaching at Omega. So I said, "Oh, I'm signing up for that class next year." And this is their first visionary art class at Omega. And so that's when I had the third eye opening for sure. And it was just great. Like you could almost feel pain in my third eye. It's like visions just would come when I was sleeping. I'd sometimes say, stop. And I want to tell you, you know, I'm not saying I haven't dabbled in visionary vegetables, but most of them came from meditation and, you know, like guided meditations and deep meditation and chanting. So I'm just going to give you an idea. This is the first class, and the family grew, and I came every year. I just went every year. I was devoted to this class, and the class kept getting bigger. And you might recognize there's so many famous artists that come to this class. I think Kathy Schmeider was in that last picture. So many great artists passed through. Look at the size of these classes. Now, of course, virtually, that was Scramble Campbell was in that one. And there's Raja is on the top over here. Can you see that? That's Raja. Here's Jonas Jones. Here's, is that Kathy Schmeider? I'm not sure. Here's Hillary Astrid. Anyway, a couple of really great artists. And so what happened is you take the class enough times, they make you their assistant. So then I became the assistant to the Grays and did all kinds of things like decalcomania and, you know, help as being a catalyst for other people most of my life for their art. I was the person that helped those people that was stuck or felt insecure, because there were some amazing artists and other people just who didn't have a lot of art experience. So I was like, you know, I said they would come over to me and I'd get them going. So who's this beautiful lady, Rani? But that
I see it.
this is Rani a couple of times at the class. When it becomes just like the visionary art train is such a family now. These were in person. We became family. We could come back every year. We say, oh, sit near me. It was just like summer camp, visionary summer camp. And that's Dave Dabowski on the bottom there, and Allison. You can see as we get grayer and grayer through the years. And it just was a magical time. And I just don't know if you could imagine being with like 80 visionary artists in one room. I mean, we have sometimes 100 visionary artists on the vision train, but to be with 80 visionary artists doing the same meditation in one room, it was magic. It was just like, and some of us would end up with the same visions. And that's, I don't know if you know Seth Leibowitz, Tattoo, and a couple other artists. And this is the size of the room. I mean, I have hundreds of pictures. I try to just,
It's like Hogwarts. Everybody's got magic powers.
yes, it was so great. And while I was doing that, in 2001, the World Trade Center. I don't even know if I should start with that, but after the World Trade Center explosions, my mother died that year, and I just was in a funk. And I saw that Tibetan monks were coming to upstate New York, and they were going to give a week-long class, but I was teaching. And I asked my principal and my superintendent, who loved me, can I take this class? I promise I'll bring back positive things to teach in the classroom. And they let me go. Oh, and it was just amazing. And so here I am learning how to work with the special tools for the sand, and meeting 25 monks came. There were only like 26 of us. So I used to say, we have a monk each, but anyway, it was amazing. And they were some of the monks that were there were monks that had to exit from Tibet, over the mountains with the Dalai Lama. And they were still so full with joy, even though they were forced to live in India or not in their homeland. They were laughing, and here they are trying to teach us how to chant like from our bellies, and laughing. They're trying to keep from laughing at us. And that's how they were. They just were the sweetest guys. And I did learn a lot from them. And one of the main things I took away is I was so angry about the World Trade Center then. They just said, you have to love everybody, pray for your enemies so that everybody becomes enlightened. And that was a great, aha. So they did this beautiful sand mandala, but we weren't allowed to touch their sand mandala. And I said, I would really like to make sand mandalas. So that became something that I started to do with communities. We would do our own sand mandalas, not traditional, but we held the beliefs of like putting our intentions into the sand, creating a symbol into the sand that was important to us, and then dissolving the sand. And I wrote a book, and it was a hit for a while, and then ended up being written in 3 languages, in Italian, German, and English. So that got me on the map. That got me some gigs, I will tell you. If you have a book, you can get some teaching gigs. So I continued working with the Grays at Omega, and we did sand mandalas there. And here I am at Mount Madonna Center when I was teaching with Judith Cornell. And some of the many beautiful, this one is at Cosm, because we always put the little Cosm chapel in the center. So we know those at Cosm. They're usually gorgeous because you have visionary artists. If it's at a visionary art class, you have the best artists, working on your sand mandala. They're gorgeous. And these are at Cosm. And lots of laughter. Allison calls me her sister from another mister, so I wanted to pop that in. So aligning to impermanence of from the Tibetan tradition, we dissolve our sand mandala. So then we do a sand mandala ritual. We dissolve it and sweep it all into the center. And here's a couple of those, because you'll recognize some people in some of these. This guy, Rani, right? Okay. Couple of artists. Zekafus. And then we take the sand, and then we put it in little bags, and people take it and they put it in their gardens or in the meditation room, or, you know, in the water, so that it flows out and spreads all the good intentions. So all the sand is filled with all the intentions. And I always save a bag from everyone and put it into the next one. So the grays really were a very important part of my life. And we became very close, and I ended up becoming a Cosm board member and teaching there. And often if I taught there, I would offer my classes as a gift, you know, Carmel, and then I would make money from other places like Mount Madonna Center, and, you know, other happenings, women's drum happenings, did things with. So all during this time, I was teaching mandala classes, and we used a black background, so it was similar to our Mish technique in a lot of ways. Get that? Because we were adding the light.
I've taken your class, Rosie, and it's amazing. So any of you who can take this class when it starts again, take the class. It's amazing.
Thank you. And so it's but we concentrate in the class on the process, on the product not being as important as the process, because it's a lot of meditation where we're letting go of we're asking for forgiveness, opening the heart, we're connecting to the chakras. So it's a little different. And you can see me age through the years here, but my hair just keeps getting grayer. And by the end of a week, you have a week's long list of mandalas, and we make a mandala coming out from the center of everybody's artwork, and they're quite magical. As people walk around the mandalas and they cry because they're so filled with light and love, and so very much like the Mish technique, in that you do the white and then you add the color on top, which is like using pencils, or you could do with paint, but using pencils as a glaze. And there's Rani over here on the top left. And so I just want to say thanks for coming to my class. Okay. And it's a great mix of different ages. I love that. Tattoo artists love to come. And we do Qigong. That's my husband, Mike, running the Qigong classes. And there is Adam Millward, which a lot of you know from Canada. Alex looking at people's projects. And I just wanted to add this as well. It's also visionary art of a totally different realm. I also studied with Hindu yantra painting masters in the tradition of Harish Johari. And these are some of the works that we did. It's a great mix of visionary art and my mathematical background creating these yantras. And so, and that's Peter Velter-Reed. I don't know if you know him. He's amazing. And I think I'm going to get him to come on the vision train. He's a total master. And look, he sits and works on the floor all day. I had to sit at the table. I was one of the people I had to sit. But anyway, this is who I studied with in the midst of all the other things. And each one of these mandalas is the center is a traditional mandala. So this one is for Saturn. I have a lot of Saturn in my chart. And then on the outside, in some kind of a Vedic square and in a mathematical way, which I could teach you guys someday, and I'd be happy to, you kind of get a pattern, and then you could fit designs into that pattern. Okay, but then, like a prayer answered, that was my beginning of my first painting with Amanda Sage and her first class at Cosm. That opened up like my artistic ability and my visions and my painting. I never really painted much. I even said to Amanda, I don't know if I should take the class because it's full, and I may be taking up the spot for someone else who's maybe would get more out of it and have brushes and have paint. And she insisted I take the class. She said, you're a great artist, Rosie. You just need the experience. You just need the painting experience. And so I have a ton of great, beautiful pictures of our beloved goddess, Amanda Sage. That was my first ever oil painting, And this is Rosie, the love goddess. It's in the likeness of Lakshmi, but instead of giving coins, I was giving hearts, because it's all about spreading love, because love is contagious. And every year I take the class, I became another repeater, and every year I'd come out with another painting. And sometimes I'd go home and make a couple on my own, you know. And then my time freed up because I retired from teaching, and then I was able to produce more art. The Galactic Trading Cards deck. Okay, and then this is my Gaia Rising. Most of my paintings have to do with either love, giving, goddesses, or nature. There's often you'll see a mandala in the back of my art. And this is the Blue Medicine Buddha for healing, which appropriately I finished on the vision train during this pandemic. So, you know, it's filled with chants, and often I chant while I do the artwork. This one I finished on the vision train. And this journey to the Simple Mandala, and this in display in the mushroom gallery with us, visionary train. And here's my Lord Shiva, not quite finished, but almost there. Painting was done in the transformation class with Amanda Sage. Yeah, and you know, we did a beautiful meditation together. A lot of us received a lot of great images, and so she's back to the garden. It's the message was we have to get back to the garden. We got to get back to nature. Our guardians are there; they're watching over us, but we have to make the move to heal and get back to nature, connect with nature. It's the only way we're going to stay healthy and let this planet, you know, nurture us.
Rosie, these are tremendous. I have to just remind folks that a number of these are featured in the United States Gallery 2 of the Toronto Art Exhibit, correct? People can go see these in the exhibit right now.
Yeah, I think I have about 5 in there, so that's great. This is most recently, Amanda has a class that was reflections, and it was, you know, all about portraits. And I chose not to do my self-portrait. I did some portraits of musicians that I love, and we all did Frida. And I think the Vision Train's going to have a gallery of just Frida that I hope all of you come back to see. We will post it, because many of us in that class worldwide did a painting of Frida. And this is just some shots from Amanda's classes there at COSM, only because that's the only ones I took. And this is Michelle, our own Michelle Mula, and she's putting a glaze on. And many of you know Alex Polanco, and this was his first experience that not working on digitally, but working on a canvas. And now you see his artwork. He's exploded with, and then Amanda Wolf, and our beloved Lacey. So I just wanted to highlight, and George. So many of you recognize these, Danielle and Genevieve. And at the end of the class, I mean, it's lovely to just see all of us with our paintings. And I have a couple of different years of that, which you could maybe notice on people. And of course, Amanda Sage presented her vision train. Before there was a virtual vision train, we were drawing vision trains. And so I think we drew it into creation. And just here's some of the products that people do. And you can download this if you go to Amanda Sage's website. You can download your own vision train car and draw one and send it into them, and they will post it. Now we have to recreate this world and have a vision, a positive vision. So this is my thank you to Amanda and Joe Bob for those great offerings and such an important part of my life. Other great teachers that came through COSM and that I studied with were Eloria Weaver, David Heskin, and that taught me a little bit about acrylic. And this is Eloria live painting, and that she's painting the mural, part of her mural at the Mushroom Cafe. If you come to COSM, there's a Mushroom Cafe, and it's filled with art murals from various artists. Now back to Autumn Sky. So I have some great portraits of artists. There's our own beloved Stacy Awesome. And This is during Autumn Skies class. Marnie usually takes the pictures, but I managed to get a few, and I even got one of Marnie. Okay, so this is now I'm going to just show some artists that I photographed mostly at COSM that have passed through COSM. So this painting, this photograph went a lot of places. This was what was their promo photo for many years. And I just wanted to show you, I've been with the Grays for a long time. So here's Allison at one of her openings of her art show, and Allison more recent, like last year. And here she is with her square root while it was a work in progress, which I think was about 2 years ago. And this is Alex with a small group. If you take a class at COSM, usually you get to go take a tour and they take you to the studio. And here's Alex showing us a little bit about the visionary art process. I have some paintings of various artists now. I'm going to just run through, and I love this one. So Burgundy Viscose. I must have 50 paintings because she's so beautiful, but I just put in 2. And we have John Spica, all these top names in the visionary art world. And Randall Roberts painting Morgan, and then Morgan painting a mandala, Morgan mandala. I don't know if you know Hannah Yada, but she's brilliant, and you should check out her art if you don't. And guess who? Can you guess who that is? That's Alex Gray in costume, painting his self-portrait. And then this is Della. And Sergio Barali and Martin Whitworth, and she's a brilliant artist.
Katia Honor.
Thank you so much, Katia Honor. And this is one of the early pictures of Emily the Funky Priestess. Emily, she's and this is Jean-Pierre Arboleda, and he's amazing also. The Bridge brothers, Carl Bridge and Martin Bridge, the twins. They're also amazing art teachers and also permaculturists and drummers. Autumn Sky working on a painting. You got to see this woman work, fast and fabulous. I mean, she finished this painting in that one weekend. I was like, what? And Olga, who taught classes for the Visionary Art, Vienna Visionary Art Academy. She did a class for them recently. Sweet Melissa. Our own beloved Stella. And she used that painting a lot for promotion. This is a great painting. Oh, there's Katya. Okay, I did get her name in there. Who's that? Oh, wait, that's me. Okay, yeah, I got to live paint. Thank you, Cosm, for letting me live paint. And here's Alex and Allison working on the same painting, which is now finished. And I stuck this in because, you know, Visionary Dance. This is Akil when he was performing for us. And Akil is part of the Vision Train now. This is Louis Schwartzberg, who created the Fungi movie with a little bit of painting that probably Karen did, I'm guessing. And Christina from Vision Train conductor, one of our conductors, came and painted live at COSM. And here is a picture of when I went with the Grays and a couple of other people to see the DeVille, Jean DeVille exhibit at the Guggenheim. I made Alex pose like that, and I think he's used that a few times. And this Genevieve, which is Delphi Whispers, she worked at COSM for many years, an amazing artist. And Alium Art, he was, I think he was on the Vision Train too, and his art spins. He's going to have a great exhibit at
Area 15, I think.
And here the wonderful four painting together. We have Clinton Reynolds, this lovely married couple, Rosemary and Juan. I don't know if you know Jeff Sullivan, another great artist that passed through COSM. This is Vajra art, and this is Colin Prawl, Jonas Jones, Hillary Astrid. Who's that? Anyway, I brought the Winter Goddess back out. Seth Leibowitz and Mystico Campo with my friend Tico. who does a lot of fluorescent lighting painting. And I didn't even realize until I went through my paintings that Anya live painted at Cosm. I saw the picture. I said, wait a minute, that's Anya. We weren't even friends then. And we didn't really, I just took a picture. So isn't that great? Look at her hair, great colors too. And then of course, there were so many musicians that I would say visionary DJs. So I ran a couple in, I think maybe not. And then Veronica live painted once. I didn't realize it. And Lilian Kalsta, another incredible, artist, oil paint. Man, the stage several times. And here she is giving a talk about the vision train. The vision train, that she had a vision. Now, who's this? That is Alex Gray and Ronnie, the person who is right here interviewing me on Halloween. Was that last year or 2 years ago, I think?
That was last year.
That was last year. Okay. Last year. And it's great.
It's amazing.
And I do a lot of, photographs on Halloween. I could have just filled up a whole 3 hours of just Halloween pictures. But look who's there. Karen and Frida. So perfect, because this was done before we did all those Frida paintings. Okay, so here's a few shots of progress that I saw during Entheon's being built. So this is an open, the roof was torn off and we were standing on what would be a roofless building, and actually making a prayer about may that it be completed. And then when the walls were being put up, we just, they let us all go and put prayers, and we wrote our prayers onto the wood before the walls was, put up the sheetrock before they did that. And then they covered the building, and so many people that we know in this picture, and then, wow, there was a roof, and what a roof. And here are Alex and Allison with a little piece of wall that was from Cosm and Chelsea, and they're trying to match the colors for this Entheon. And here we are. It's being painted. And then Allison's floor was put in. And then the steeple head, we were going to have a moment where they showed us the unveiling of the steeple head. And there it is, the beautiful steeple head, which is now on top of the building. And here's a more recent picture, but not that recent, of the building. The floor is in, it's completely painted. And this is what it's going to look like in the end. Now, I do have a picture, but I'm not allowed to share it, of the mirrors that are already up in the, some of the sacred mirrors are in and on, could be on display when Cosm opens. You will get to see them. Or if you become a Cosm member, you could probably get a private tour on Zoom. So, okay, so I don't know. I just want to let you know that besides doing art, I'm also a percussionist, and I've been drumming, and I haven't drummed since December, when it was our last show, as you could see these pictures. And I have a 2-minute video of me drumming. something that was my favorite way to spend a Sunday. You go to once a month, and you after the full moon, and we all sit together. We hear beautiful music. We draw together, and so much fun and so soothing way to start the day. Well, now it's being offered virtually on the new moons via Cosm.tv. And here's David and Laura. I see them up front. And you'll see a lot of artists you know. Allison is always available during full moons to chat with people. And you'll see Alex and Allison live painting during the full moons. There's an awesome bonfire. Those sculptures in the back are by Stein. Thank you so much. I know it's just like, okay. So I'm ending here. So I want to show pictures of my husband because he's been really supportive in my art thing. So this is one of our first dates when we got married and how we look now. And I just wanted to give him a little gratitude. And my advice to everybody is to stay young at heart like Rosie. You have to think young, have fun, laugh a lot, keeps you young. And I think that might be it. Oh, I have this one little picture. It's not great quality of Rahul. And thank you for putting all this, visionary art happening in Toronto together. And Rahul is also an amazing musician. I have pictures of him playing his hang drum and playing the flute and us drumming together. And maybe someday we'll share that.
Thank you, Rosie. That was beautiful.
Rosie, that was beautiful.
Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Now I'm going to stop share.
Great.
I can see everybody now.
That was so incredible, Rosie. I know I've seen your slideshows before, but it was really beautiful to see from where you were then and where you are now, and especially all of the amazing work you've created since your retirement, quote unquote, because I think you've been more prolific than ever. And you've been such a big part of my existence, my visionary existence, and meant so much to so many people over the years. I don't know what I would do without your friendship. There are still socks that I wear like every other day that you gave me, because you just think of the yoga pants, like you just think of like all the
Rosie, her stories have meant so much to a lot of people. It's amazing how a photograph can bring you into that time period and can really you can relive those emotions. And if you weren't there, you can really just imagine the power of that moment. And I'm just curious from you, what spawned within you, what has spawned that sort of that urge to want to capture those moments in visionary history? What was that urge? Did you sense a premonition that this was going to lead somewhere when you started? Did you just go on a whim? What inspired that side of your journey?
I always was into photography. I took photography in college. I loved it. I did the darkroom things, even though it was so toxic, but so I always had a camera with me, and I always was documenting things wherever I was. When I went to Cosm, they had their own photographer in the beginning, but I just had my own pictures. A lot of my pictures were great, and they wanted to use them. So what happens is I start to, especially when I started to do the San Mandala, I just on my own started taking pictures. And the next thing I know, Alex was having me send it to him by WeTransfer. And then, so many of my pictures Cosm has, and I have them saved in, and they have all the stuff that I've documented from all these years, which is great. But yeah, I love doing it. And I think I love to spotlight people, especially, you can't be everywhere. Like the Grays are in one room and they're, painting. And there's so much happening all over that place and everywhere. So I loved going out with the camera and meeting people and having them pose for me, especially Halloween. And yeah, I loved it. So it's one of my offerings. I'll do it for you when I come in person to Toronto.
Can't wait. You're only a border away. So yeah, So in that world of sand mandalas comes a certain kind of community building. Like for me, it reminds me of a drum circle in a way because it comes together and then it falls apart. But it takes those little elements. And I still remember taking, I think I've done about 4 of your mandala workshops. And just remembering a lot of the sort of the people that had come by and how you had given us like a little bit of sand at the end of every journey. I'm wondering if you can expand on why you think it's important to like have that little memory of that sand, even if it's a bit of a mythology around it. Can you expand on your relationship with the San Mandala and what it has brought you and
I think, yeah, well, first of all, when I was doing sand mandalas because I thought it was a great idea, most of my art, a lot of my art, I have to say all my art has an intention. I put an intention, a positive intention to all my art. In my mandala classes, we hold a positive intention, whether it's for forgiveness or, opening the heart to unconditional love or for physical healing. Well, when it came to the sand mandalas and I studied with the monks, I realized that they're putting an intention into the sand for peace or to prayer for, praying to a deity. And I said, oh, this is amazing. They're doing what I do with my paintings. So what I instill in people is when we're doing this process together, we hold a group intention. We hold that intention when we're creating our symbol in the sand. And the sand becomes filled with all these beautiful positive intentions. And then I find out that sand is made out of quartz mostly. I didn't realize that. And then I realized, oh my goodness, quartz is what they use to hold the memory in computers. And they even say that there's these crystal skulls that they think there's a memory of something chipped in there that we could find out. I say, oh my goodness, the sand mandala is holding the memory of all this positive stuff people are putting. I got so excited. So we don't hold on to the physical form because, just like the Tibetan monks believe, everything, non-attachment to form, everything changes, everything falls apart. But the energy is there. And that energy is in that little crystal of sand. And when the people take the sand, they have a little bit of all that positive energy. And even if they let it go, they spread it into the waterways, it's still taking that energy and bringing it out, bringing it forth. Did that answer your question, Rahul? Did I get off on a tangent? Now you're muted, sweetie. And
yeah,
Rod,
very sweet. And sorry. And I just wanted to ask one more question. I think Ronnie may be back in the room. I'm loving
I
how
am.
you are with your answers. It's beautiful. Just one last question from my end for now. You are from New York, and to a lot of us artists, New York is that capital, that heartbeat of artwork, and Brooklyn. All the associations. I'm wondering, in the spirit of repping, like what is it that you love about New York that fire fuels your art and can you expand on that? I think we all love hearing about New York.
First of all, I figured you all knew us from Brooklyn because even though I live on Long Island now, this accent is hard to miss. This is the old Brooklyn accent. Brooklyn's becoming much more worldwide now. But what do I love about it? Well, it's always was cool to be from Brooklyn. I'm going to tell you that first of all. Even in the 50s, it was cool. It was cool in the 60s. The hippies, the highway hippies. But the most magical part about New York is that the multicultural mix that we all are together. It's a melting pot. It's a melting pot of culture. Your next door neighbor is from Jamaica and you smell his great food. Your other neighbor is from India and you smell the curry and you hear different languages and you can eat any kind of food anywhere. Well, I guess that's become worldwide now, but it's always been, and you can go hear any kind of music and And the city never sleeps. If I want to go 3 in the morning and go hear some music, I just got to go to the city, take a train to the city. And I've seen every band. I mean, I grew up in the 60s as a teenager. I went to the Fillmore East I knew the ushers there. I used to go to almost every Fillmore East show. I saw every band you could possibly want to see. I've seen Hendrix 4 times. I mean, the city was alive, and the greatest art galleries, and just, yeah. I can go on and on about that too. Great clothes and.
But so beautiful to hear you, Rosie. And I'm so sorry I cut out before. I was just singing your praises for a solid 2 minutes, because you are so amazing and arguably one of the most vital people to, I believe, this whole visionary arts and culture just generally. You've been doing this for a while, but I just remember when I came in to Omega in 2005, my first class with the Grays in Rhinebeck, New York, I just, you made me feel instantly comfortable. I hadn't made art in years, and I had gone to pursue other things, even though inside, the artist inside me was just screaming to come out. And, it's really like folks like you and Alex and Allison and Amanda that really, help pull that out of people, and to really be their authentic selves. And I find so much value in this movement. And I don't know where we would be without you, Rosie, because, you have always made people feel so comfortable. And I don't know if it's all, I wanted to hear a little more of your experience as a teacher, because, before you retired, and arguably you've been more prolific in your retirement, right? But you've continued to be a teacher of mandala and so many other things in communities, but also your teaching experience, for all those years. If you came across somebody who maybe is having difficulty focusing on their own artistic path, what might you say to them if they were doubting themselves?
Right. And it's funny, when you teach children, if you say, draw the meaning of life, they will start to draw it until 4th grade. What happens in 4th grade? You know what happens in 4th grade and now in 3rd grade? Testing. They start to get tested, and suddenly they're afraid to do wrong, because everybody's teaching in the classroom to the test suddenly. And it shuts down that creativity. And I noticed that, and it was really, they'd say, all of a sudden in 4th grade, said, can you draw this for me? I said, no, your mom doesn't want to see my picture on the refrigerator. And they lost their confidence. And so one of the things that I did in my school was I wanted to stop with the grading system. Everybody should pass. Everybody does great. If you are a behavior problem, that's another story. But if you were doing the project, you got an A in my class, just, you did the best you could do. You got an A. And I've noticed that a lot of people were damaged. You know who some of the most damaged people were? People that went to art school. Isn't that sad? People that went to art school that had their critiques, and the teachers and the people would, think that there was so much ego involved sometimes with some artists. Not this group. I'm telling you that right now. The visionary art movement, the vision train, it's not that kind of vibe. It's like everybody's helping everybody. Everybody's giving and selfless. Right, Lisette? We're teaching techniques. Amanda Sage, greatest artist, tells you everything she knows. Tells you every little trick in the book. Artists in the past. Oh, don't tell anybody how we did this. It's a secret. Look at Mark. Mark tells me how to transfer a picture on the paint. It's always somebody here helping us. So, but not in art school. In art school, there was a lot of, ego. And the ego is not just about, oh, I'm better than you, I'm worse than, it's the opposite thing. Let go of the ego of not being good enough or being better. Just be and create. How's that?
So beautiful. Yes. I'm glad this is being recorded so I can replay that whenever I need it.
Thank you, Rosie. Some of the similarity, as you were describing your experience in studying with the monks, and I know that that was no small feat, right? You really studied with the monks to be able to do, the mandalas that you do, and to be able to teach that to people. The blessing of the materials, the composition of the sand that you described before. What sort of similarities do you see potentially, if any, between the monks and their practice and visionary artists today?
Oh, it's it's very great. If you don't see it, make it, because once you should all bless your materials. And you know what? I forget to do that sometimes because I just forget to do it. But you know what? Many artists I see, they're saging their canvases, they're blessing the materials. It's a great way. If you're sewing, bless your needles, bless the fabric, bless the materials, and ask for blessings, ask that the perfect, product comes through. Rescue materials, we holding positive intentions. Most of us here are holding a positive intention for our paintings. The hard part is the attachment, letting go. Selling a painting is sometimes hard, but also, we've had some painters that had Vajra. He had a fire in California. He lost a lot of art. That's hard. We're so attached. So it's all lessons.
Beautiful. No, absolutely. I wanted to, just say, there's so many things I can comment on, but we're all experiencing this quarantine, this whole 2020, as we approach the end of 2020. What sort of things have worked for you along the way? How have you been managing throughout this time? Has it changed your art at all? What sort of tips might you have for any folks?
Well, I'm going to be honest. When Amanda Sage called me and said, we're going to go virtual, we're going to go live, this is it, you got to come on the vision train. I had just had knee surgery. I had to give up my tickets to the Allman Brothers and the Phil Lesh, and I was in a major funk. I was super depressed. And I cried a lot, and I'm not usually like that. I'm usually positive and say, okay, but I looked at my leg and I felt like I couldn't even run in the park. I just was bumming. But she said, you got to come on. And I crawled up the steps to the to the attic where my studio is. And tell you, this vision train has been the most healing thing for me. And I think a lot of other people who are alone, suddenly we were alone, but together. It was just such a blessing. And suddenly, we didn't, we have friends that we could call, but suddenly we were hanging out with our friends and making new friends, and getting close to people, and really close to people, in every level, not just about art, but like emotional things that came up. And I just want to be so grateful to Amanda for creating the Vision Train and Zoom. Like, God, I wish I bought stock in Zoom. It's like, wow, what would we do without Zoom? It's been so wonderful, to have friends all over the world, have friends in Wales and friends in Costa Rica. We're global, babe. Yeah. So,
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I'm so grateful to it also. And even though
also,
I would love to be on even more than what's that?
I also humor, having a sense of humor. Like, look, there are still things I'm really upset about in the world right now. Like I don't even want to go into that part, but you got to laugh at it. You got to enjoy the present moment. If you can't enjoy the present moment, then you're wasting the moment. So, it's okay to discuss things that are really going on and how horrible they are, but try to laugh, try to have fun, see a funny movie during pandemic.
Yeah, or draw it out. That's been helping me, um, or even just being of service to somebody else. And, hopefully this interview helps somebody, it definitely is helping me.
Now, Ronnie,
Um,
maybe you want to share, because the recording started after you shared. Like, Ronnie was busy I wanted to talk to this morning, but Ronnie was busy doing service this morning. Why don't you share what you did this morning with the world?
You're so sweet, Rosie. I was, I got the opportunity to go to the park today in St. Petersburg, Florida, and where there's a lot of folks, some who haven't even eaten in 2 days because apparently they closed so many different shelters and things like that. And we got to feed them breakfast. We did an all plant-based breakfast with tofu scramble, and we did, waffles and pancakes. And I got all these blankets on sale. They were half off at Target. So I got to give out I bought like 30 blankets and I just gave out like half of them. And the rest I'm going to bring on Monday. But I'm like so grateful. And, it just goes, and it's something else I can put into my artwork. It just reminds me that it's not like, woe is me, and that there's such a big world out there. And all of us souls need to connect, in this visionary culture, but also even beyond. And that was a really, thank you so much for bringing that up, and thank you.
For your
So
service, so important to share and give. I know there are a lot of people on this train that are very giving. If somebody has an auction and a raffle, they're buying everybody's stuff, and it just I think visionary artists are going to save the world. Visionary artists and musicians are really going to save the world. Writers, artists, and musicians.
I agree
And
with
Tico,
you,
you're all
Rosie.
three of those.
Well, so are you, Rosie. You're a multi-talented artist and musician. I have so many other questions for you, but I know we don't want to go too long. But I did want to ask you a little bit more. I mean, I've had the pleasure of knowing Mike for many years as well, and you guys are such a beautiful couple. You give me so much inspiration. It's like, Alex and Allison and Rosie and Mike, and the visionary tribe would not be the same without any of you. So I just wanted to know, like, in terms of relationships, I'd love to pick your brain a little bit. How have you managed to make it work that long? What do you do? What's your secret?
Well, honesty. Never, don't betray that person. Be honest. If something is not right, you tell it. And if that person can't hear it, then you start to question like that something's not right. You have to be able to have communication. Humor. Have to laugh. You have to have fun. You have to be silly. And you know what? We have fights. We get angry. Sometimes he gets me so pissed off. I go to sleep and I go to the chippy side of the bed. But you know what? In the middle of the night, I touch his foot with my foot. I let him know I might be pissed right now, but I love you. I'm here. And it's like he knows energetically I am with you. That, like I might be a little upset, but I love you and I forgive you. And so forgiveness is big. It's not, now I'm not saying accept bad behavior from a person, but when a person is sorry, it's good to forgive them. Have fun though. Having fun is great. Go see live music and dance with your loved one.
I love that. Great advice. It's so
make art together. Make art together. Even if they suck at art, just do it.
So great. Rosie, is there anything you'd like to share, before we kind of go back to Raul and kind of talk a little bit more about the exhibit? Is there anything you'd like to share with the group that you haven't already covered?
I want them to know I love them all. I just love my Vision Train family. Hey, Cody's waving. And thanks for having me. Seriously, it's been great. It's been fun.
Oh, we can't get enough out of you, Rosie. Thank you. Where can we find you, Rosie? I want the Instagram, the Facebook, the website, whatever, everything.
Oh, sure. I'll pop that in the I'm Illuminated Rose. So I'll pop that in the chat.
We're gonna have that posted for you all so you can see it. But thank you so much, Rosie. Goddess bless you. You're amazing. We love you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your time, and you're so busy.
All right, and I just, I wanted to segue back to you, Raul. You're still here. I'm doing this from my phone because I lost you all from my computer before.
Thank
Gotcha.
you to everyone who tuned in, everyone who's going to watch this recording later. Big thank you to Rosie and a big thank you to Rani. I can't express how clear the vision came to pair these two in an interview setting. I mean, you get the best of like New York, first of all, like, and both of you, at least in my experience, have done so much work to try to keep that spirit of the community together. Rani, our hats off to you. I mean, you're very humble, but we love you and we see you and your light and how much you care about keeping this together. And you, Rosie, it goes without saying, you're a humble and loyal service to the collective is so palpable. And I know it'll continue for a long time to come because you have so much youth in you left.
Hold that intention, a long time to come.
When
Yeah.
Rosie and I are together, I should have said we're like little girls. Like we're the youngest ones in the classes because we act like we're 12.
Yeah, well, the trick to not getting old is to be immature.
Yeah, as Tom Robbins would say, it's never too late to have a happy childhood, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful.
Very true. You can
Yes.
hear.
So I will say that Rosie is one of our feature artists, honorary guests in the US Gala #2 of the Toronto Visionary Art Exhibit 2020. I will drop her specific link in the chat. I also want to say that it's a huge honor to be able to feature elders at all of our events, not only to honor the elders whose grounds we walk on, whose land we borrow for our time here, but to also honor the elders within our communities and give them a voice, whether it's your grandmother or grandfather, or those that carry wisdom, your teachers. It's very important to include them and check in on them and get updates. And so I mean, every year I would like happily welcome an interview with Rosie to the exhibit, and also to carry that torch of wisdom for those who need that right now. And I honor that you've given that to us today. We've had a big download. I'm sure some of us have gotten emotional just to see just how you gently carry people along with you on your journey. And so thank you, Rosie. Thanks for holding that virtue and for holding that flame so that we can light the torch and put that on others. And in your humility comes your awesomeness. So thank you for doing that. And yeah, if there's any last words you want to share, Rosie, the floor is yours.
Well, something did just come to mind just now, and I was part of Jean Houston's mystery school for many years. I don't know if any of you heard it, but we'd meet once a month for 9 months a year, and we did all kinds of amazing things, like, you know, studied the path of the mystic and everything. And oops, okay, during a meditation there, I was asking for my path, and you know, I thought, you know, art was my path, but one of the things that came to me, it was so weird, and not really weird, is loving the unloved child. Because, you know, as a teacher, I did see a lot of really unloved children that were damaged, you know, and I just want to let everybody know that it goes for adults too. And I'm here for anybody who's needs a Rosie hug. If it's, you know, I'd rather give it in person, but virtually, I just want you to know that I'm an ear for you, and I'm a shoulder for you to lean on. And I just want everybody to know that I'm here. Happy to spread my love.